Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Mishnapat Paramahansa Parivrajakatarishtottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Mishnapat Paramahansa Parivrajakatarishtottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhari Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Shri Krishna Rukmani Satyabhama Ki Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balarama Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, The Renunciation of Kardama Muni, text number 10. Bhagavantam Param Brahma Bhagavantam Param Brahma Bhagavantam Param Brahma Sattvena Amsena Shatruhan Satpenamsena Shatruhan Satpenamsena Shatruhan Tattva Sankhyana Vijñaptyai Tattva Sankhyana Vijñaptyai Tattva Sankhyana Vijñaptyai Jatam Vidvan Ajaha Swarat Jatam Vidvan Ajaha Swarat Jatam Vidvan Ajaha Swarat Bhagavantam Param Brahma Sattvenamsena Shatruhan Tattva Sankhyana Vijñaptyai Jatam Vidvan Ajaha Swarat Bhagavantam Param Brahma Satpenamsena Shatruhan Tattva Sankhyana Vijñaptyai Jatam Vidvan Ajaha Swarat. Bhagavantam, the Lord, Param, Supreme, Brahma, Brahman, Sattvena, having an uncontaminated existence, Amsena, by a plenary portion, Shatruhan, O killer of the enemy, Vidura, Tattva Sankhyana, the philosophy of the 24 material elements, Vijñaptyai, for explaining, Jatam, appeared, Vidvan, knowing, Ajaha, the unborn, Lord Brahma, Swarat, independent. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Maitreya continued, O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, would understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his quality of pure existence, had appeared in the womb of Devahuti just to explain the complete state of knowledge known as Sankhya Yoga. Kindly repeat. Maitreya continued, O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his quality of pure existence, had appeared in the womb of Devahuti just to explain the complete state of knowledge known as Sankhya Yoga. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad-gita, 15th chapter, it is stated that the Lord himself is the compiler of Vedanta Sutra and he is the perfect knower of Vedanta Sutra. Similarly, the Sankhya philosophy is compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his appearance as Kapila. There is an imitation Kapila who has a Sankhya philosophical system, but Kapila, the incarnation of God, is different from that Kapila. Kapila, the son of Kardamu Muni, in his system of Sankhya philosophy, very explicitly explained not only the material world, but also the spiritual world. Brahma could understand this fact because he is Swarat, almost independent in receiving knowledge. He is called Swarat because he did not go to any school or college to learn, but learned everything from within. Because Brahma is the first living creature within this universe, he had no teacher. His teacher was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, who is seated in the heart of every living creature. Brahma acquired knowledge directly from the Supreme Lord within the heart. Therefore, he is sometimes called Swarat and Aja. Another important point is stated here. Sattvena amsena. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he brings with him all his paraphernalia of Vaikuntha. Therefore, his name, his form, his quality, his paraphernalia, and his entourage all belong to the transcendental world. Real goodness is in the transcendental world. Here, in the material world, the quality of goodness is not pure. Goodness may exist, but there must also be some tinges of passion and ignorance. In the spiritual world, the unalloyed quality of goodness prevails. There, the quality of goodness is called suddha-sattva, pure goodness. Another name for suddha-sattva is vasudeva, because God is born from Vasudeva. Another meaning is that when one is purely situated in the qualities of goodness, he can understand the form, name, quality, paraphernalia, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word amsena also indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appeared as Kapila Deva in a portion of his portion. God expands either as Kala or as Amsha. Amsha means direct expansion and Kala means expansion of the expansion. There is no difference between the expansion of the expansion, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, as there is no difference between one candle and another. But still, the candle from which the others are lit is called the original. Krishna, therefore, is called the Parabrahman, or the ultimate Godhead and cause of all causes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namavom Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mokam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Ajaha Swarat, the almost independent, self-born Lord Brahma, Tattva Sankhyana Vijnaptyai, for the purpose of disseminating the complete state of knowledge known as Sankhya Yoga, Sattvena Amsena, in his quality of pure existence, Bhagavantam Param Brahma Jatam, Param Brahma Bhagavantam Jatam, that Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared in the womb of Devaki, Vidvan. This was understood by Lord Brahma. Swarat Ajaha Tattva Sankhyana Vijnaptyai Sattvena Amsena Param Brahma Bhagavantam Jatam Vidvan, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had appeared in the womb of Devahuti for the purpose of explaining Sankhya Yoga, was known to the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge. So this is what is stated here. In the 12th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, there is a description of the activities of Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi is the son of Mrikandu Rishi. And Markandeya Rishi, from the beginning, he followed very strictly the process of brahmacharya. And he engaged in lot of austerities, severe austerities, meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Markandeya Rishi is a devotee, and therefore he was meditating upon Lord Vishnu, Narayana. And he did this for a very long period of time. The period of time for which he meditated continuously was 6 Manvantaras. One Manvantara lasts for about 71 Mahayugas. One Mahayuga is 43,20,000 years, comprising one cycle of Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga and Satya Yuga. For 71 such Mahayugas, one Manvantara lasts. Like this for 6 Manvantaras, that means for about 426 Manvantaras, 426 into 43,20,000 years. For that much period of time, Markandeya Rishi was engaged in tapasya and in meditation upon the Supreme Lord Narayana. Whenever a rishi or a sage engages in ghora tapasya, severe austerities, the first person to get disturbed is Indra. So Indra became disturbed. Oh, this rishi is doing too much tapasya. Little tapasya is okay. But this much tapasya he does, he will get more punya than me. Then he will displace me. So he thought, I should not allow this to happen. I have to go and break his tapasya. So as usual, Indra called his apsaras and he told them, there is this Markandeya Rishi, 6 Manvantaras he has been sitting, so better you go and break his meditation. So the apsaras came, they did lot of singing, dancing, and one apsara especially, she started playing around with a ball in front of Markandeya Rishi. When a woman plays, when a beautiful woman especially plays with a ball, it is very captivating for a man. And then there was a gust of wind, and this apsara's clothes got blown away. You can imagine the scene. Which man can withstand that? Even if it is an ordinary woman, any man's mind will get carried away. And this was not an ordinary woman, it was an apsara. Apsaras are personalities who live in the Swargalokas. And their bodies are so beautiful and so naturally fragrant. They are naturally fragrant with the scent of lotus flowers. So you can imagine how beautiful and how fragrant. Who can withstand the attractive features of an apsara. So this apsara was showing all her feminine features. Just like when Urvashi came in front of Vishwamitra Muni, simply by the tinkling of her ankle bells, Vishwamitra Muni, his meditation was broken. But Markandeya Rishi, he was a great devotee. He was completely unaffected. No matter what all these apsaras were doing, Markandeya Rishi was least unagitated. He was not at all agitated. He was least agitated. So finally, all these apsaras, they failed. And they understood that it's not possible to break the austerity of this Rishi, Markandeya Rishi. He is not like other Rishis. And so they had to withdraw. They had to go back. And so, by this determination and by the tapasya of Markandeya Rishi, this pleased Naranarayana Rishi. And Naranarayana Rishi personally appeared in front of Markandeya Rishi, being pleased with his determination and his following of the tapasya, brahmacharya and meditation upon the Supreme Lord. When Naranarayana Rishi appeared before Markandeya Rishi, because Markandeya Rishi was not meditating upon the impersonal Brahman. He was meditating upon Vishnu, Narayana. He was a devotee. And so therefore Naranarayana Rishi appeared before him. And when Naranarayana Rishi appeared before Markandeya Rishi immediately, first thing, what did he do? He offered prayers to glorify Naranarayana Rishi. Basically glorifying Narayana. So one of the prayers which Markandeya Rishi submitted, he said, Tasmat tameha bhagavan atha tavakanam shuklam tanum swadayitam kushala bhajanti. Kushala, those who are experts. Experts in what? They are experts in yoga, because this kushala word is used by Krishna also in the Bhagavad-gita. Karmasu kushalam yoga uchyate. Those who are engaged in devotional service, they are called kushala, they are called experts. So the experts in spiritual life, the experts in yoga, kushala bhajanti, they worship, they engage in devotional service of whom? Tasmat taveha bhagavan, O Bhagavan Narayana, all those who are expert spiritualists, they will engage in devotional service and they will worship you, your form. And why? Because it is sattvam tanum. It is shuklam tanum. Your form, your tanu is shukla. It is completely, shukla actually means white. So when the word shuklam tanum is used, it means that the Lord's form, tanu, is uncontaminated by the three modes of material nature. Every form, every body within this material world is totally under the influence of satoguna, rajoguna and tamoguna, the combination of these three gunas. But the Supreme Lord's form, Narayana's form, is Shuklam Tanum. Krishna's form is Shukla. His body is uncontaminated by the three modes of material nature. Not only is Krishna's form uncontaminated by the three modes of material nature, it is also, Markandeya Rishi is saying, Tavakanam, even your devotees, pure devotees, unalloyed devotees, even their forms are Shukla. They are uncontaminated by the three modes of material nature. Therefore, Swadayitam, that form of Krishna, the form of Narayana, the form of Vishnu, all the forms of Vishnu Tattvas, Swadayitam, they are very, very dear to the devotees. Kuchala, those who are experts in devotional service, those who are experts in spiritual life, for them the form of the Lord is very, very dear. The forms, the material forms within this world, they are condemned. If anybody is attached or attracted to material forms, he is condemned. Markandeya Rishi was completely unaffected by even the form of Apsara, so beautiful. But that very Markandeya Rishi, for whom material form has no significance, he is saying, Svadayitam Suklam Tanum. Your form and the forms of devotees, the bodies of the devotees and the bodies of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very, very dear to the Kushala, to the devotees, to the experts in spiritual life. So Markandeya Rishi, his statement, we have to take it very seriously, because the impersonalists, they say all form is material, even the form of the Supreme Lord is material, and that ultimately for liberation we have to forget even that form of the Lord also. Although in the beginning, to bring one's mind to focus on one point, we may worship some form of the Lord, like Surya, Ganesha, etc., the Panchopasana that they say. One of the forms you can worship. But once you are advanced in knowledge, you have to give that up. But Markandeya Rishi, who has given up all that, who is not at all affected by the material forms, and whose attention is so single-pointed that even all the apsaras put together could not agitate him, he is saying that the form of the Lord is actually very dear to me. That means that form of the Lord is not like the ordinary forms that we see in the material world. It is Suklam Tanum. It is completely beyond, it is transcendental, it is beyond the influence of the three modes of material nature. And not only that, he says, Yat Sattvataha, all the devotees, those who hold the form of Krishna to be very, very dear to their hearts, they are all called Sattvataha, they are all called devotees. So for the pure devotees, Yat Sattvataha Purusha Rupa Mushanti Sattvam. They say that Purusha Rupa, the form of Krishna, is Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama is the form of suddha-sattva. It is completely uncontaminated, pure goodness. Loko yato abhayam utatma sukham na chanyat. So the sattvata, the pure devotees, they understand that the Lord's form is Purusha Rupam, the form of Krishna, the form of Vishnu. It is Sattvam Mushanti, it is comprised completely of pure goodness, Shuddha-sattva. And not only is the form of Krishna Shuddha-sattva, Lokaha, that abode of Krishna, Vaikuntha, Goloka Vrindavan, that is also Abhayam, that is also coming manifested out of that Shuddha-sattva. And therefore, it is Abhayam, that is the place which we all have to take shelter, which is free from the fear of repeated birth and death and entanglement within this material world. And that abode of Krishna is Uta Atma Sukham. It is filled with transcendental bliss. This material world, all forms and all locations within this material world, they are filled with Deha Sukha. They are filled with happiness derived out of the body, the contact of the senses of the body with the sense objects. There is no Atma Sukha in this material world. There is no pleasure of the self which you can experience within this material world. But that spiritual abode is not like the abode which is there within this material world. It is Utatma Sukham. It is filled with transcendental bliss, which is not like the happiness which we get out of the body and the bodily senses in contact with the sense objects within this material world. So, therefore, that abode of the Supreme Lord is the one which is real Abhaya, the abode of which we have to take shelter, not the impersonal Brahman. The impersonalists say that all this Vaikuntha, all this Goloka Vrindavan, all these are either imaginary or they are also under the influence of the three modes of material nature. But Markandeya Rishi is saying, no, Atma Sukham, they are all places of transcendental bliss for the soul. They are not material at all. And therefore, they are that abode, that Vaikuntha Dhama, that Goloka Vrindavan is the ultimate place which we have to achieve. Na chanyat. And the sattvatas, the pure devotees, they do not take shelter of any other form of the Lord, nor do they desire to achieve any other kingdom.
They do not want to go to Swarga. They do not want to go to Janaloka, Mahaloka, Tapoloka. They don't want to go to even Brahmaloka. They are interested only in going to Goloka Vrindavan, to Vaikuntha Dhama. And they also do not take shelter of any other form. There are so many people who take shelter of the forms of different demigods like Lord Shiva, Ganesha, Hanuman, etc. But the pure devotees, they do not take shelter of any of these forms. Most of the devatas, they are in the mode of goodness. Their forms are in the mode of goodness, sattva-guna. But the pure devotees, the sattvatas, na chanyat, they do not want to take shelter of even the forms of the demigods which are in sattva-guna. They want only suddha-sattva guna. They want to take shelter of the form of Narayana, Vishnu, because his form is suddha-sattva. So, therefore, the devotees, sattvatas, do not take shelter of any other devata. They take shelter only of Vishnu. This is very, very important. An impersonalist will tell, you can worship any form, doesn't matter. Eventually, you have to grasp beyond that and you have to concentrate on the impersonal Brahman. In the beginning, to concentrate on impersonal Brahman may be difficult. So you choose a devata of your choice, either Vishnu or Surya or Ganesha or Durga. You choose one form of your choice and then concentrate on that and eventually go above it and focus on the impersonal Brahman. But the sattvatas, devotees, they do not accept the forms of any of the devatas. Whether it is Shiva, whether it is Brahma, whether it is Ganesha, even though they may be situated in Sattva-guna. Why? Because the devotees are interested only in Suddha-sattva guna. That is why in another place in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, there is a conversation between Sati and Lord Shiva. Sati's father, Daksha, was organizing a very big sacrifice, a yajna, where he was inviting all the big devatas, all the important personalities all over the universe. The news reached Sati, his daughter. Now, Daksha was unhappy with his daughter Sati because she had chosen to marry Lord Shiva. And in the eyes of Daksha, Lord Shiva was not a very capable person. Always living in the crematorium, spreading ashes all over his body, doesn't even have a proper house to live in. Now, what kind of personality is he? Always surrounded by ghosts, Pishachas, Rakshasas, all these kind of personalities. So he was thinking, he's not in Sattva-guna. Sattva-guna means he has to be very nicely situated. He has to be out of touch of all these Pishachas and all these people. What is all this living in the midst of all of them? So not understanding the transcendental position of Lord Shiva, Daksha did not consider Lord Shiva very highly. And there was some misunderstanding between the two of them going on. So Daksha did not invite Sati. But Sati, being the daughter, she thought, why father has to invite? Father is doing means I'll go. It's my father's home. It's my home only. She approached the Lord Shiva and told him, I'm planning to go for this yajna. I've heard my father is organizing a big yajna. I want to go. I want to meet all my sisters, my mother, my father. I want to go. Lord Shiva immediately dissuaded her. He told her, don't go. Because your father, he thinks very poorly of me. And if you go there, naturally when he sees you, he'll be reminded of me. And he will start insulting you. He will not speak to you nicely. And it will be very hurting for you. So don't go. Not only that, Lord Shiva explained his own position. Lord Shiva said, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. That the Suddha-sattva guna is known as Vasudeva, as Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport also. So Lord Shiva said that Suddha-sattva guna is known as Vasudeva. Why? Yadiyate tatrupaman apavrataha. Because when one is situated in Suddha-sattva guna, yad iyate, at that time, iyate, there is revelation in the heart. What is the revelation? What is revealed in the heart? Puman apavrataha. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead's actual reality is revealed within the heart. So that Krishna, that Narayana, Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed within the heart. Yad iyate tatra puman apavrataha, free from all coverings. So as Krishna also tells in the Bhagavad-gita, that ye yatamam prapadyante tam tadaiva bhajamyaham. According to one's level of surrender, Krishna also reveals himself. So actually, the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is concealed. It is not revealed to everyone. Because Krishna reserves the right of revealing himself. Why will he reveal himself to someone who is inimical towards him or does not accept his supremacy? So Krishna will not reveal. So the living entity which is covered by the three modes of material nature, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna, they cannot understand the position of Krishna. And so therefore, avrataha, the position of Krishna is avrata, it is covered for the living entity. But when one reaches the stage of suddha-sattva, which is known as vasudeva, then what happens? Then apavrataha, the form of the position of Krishna is revealed. Why? Because when a person is in Vishuddha-sattva guna, that Vishuddha-sattva guna is under the control of the antaranga shakti, the internal potency of Krishna. And so therefore, in the presence, under the direction of the internal potency of Krishna, there is no possibility of the influence or the action of the Bahiranga Shakti, the external potency, which controls the living entity through the three modes of material nature. So the external potency of Krishna, the Bahiranga Shakti, through the influence of the three modes of material nature, covers the vision of the living entity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a living entity transfers himself to the Vishuddha Sattva Guna, what happens? He overcomes the influence of Rajoguna, Tamoguna and Sattva Guna, and he is able to understand the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sattveja tasmin, in that Shuddha Sattva Guna, Bhagavan Vasudevo, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Krishna, Bhagavan Vasudevo hi adhokshajo me manasa vidiyate. So in that Vishuddha Sattva Guna, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Vasudeva, Krishna, me manasa vidiyate, he is worshipped by me, Lord Shiva says. He is worshipped by me with my manasa, with my mind. Although he adhokshaja, although Krishna Vasudeva is adhokshaja, he is still worshipped by me in my mind. That means constantly I am worshipping, meditating upon Krishna in my mind. So how is this possible? Because Krishna is adhokshaja, as Lord Shiva himself is saying. Adhokshaja means adha kritam akshajam. So the form of the Lord, the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is adhokshaja. He cannot be perceived with the material senses. With the material senses, it is not possible to perceive, to see him, to understand him. We cannot see Krishna's form with our material eyes. We cannot hear Krishna's holy name with our material ears. It is not possible. And therefore, his name is Adhokshaja. But that Adhokshaja, Lord Shiva is saying, Me manasa vidiyate, with my mind, I meditate upon him. How is this possible? Because the mind is also material. So how is the material mind able to capture Krishna, who is Adhokshaja, that Vasudeva who is Adhokshaja, who is situated in Shuddha Sattva Guna, called Vasudeva? How do you capture him? With your material mind. And if you are not able to capture him with your material mind, how will you ever approach him? How will you ever render devotional service to him? How will you chant his holy name? How will you hear his holy name? How will you appreciate him? How will you render devotional service to him? So that is explained in the first canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the second verse. Dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastu vastavam atra shivadam tapatrayon moolanam Srimad-Bhagavate mahamanikrite kimva parairisvaraha sadyo hridyavarudyate atra shushrushabhishanat. So, the Srimad-Bhagavatam is compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva. And this literature composed by Vyasadeva, if anybody hears the Srimad-Bhagavatam, what happens? Shushrushabis tatshanat hridi avarudhyate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead immediately becomes captured within the heart. So, the Supreme Lord, who is Adhokshaja, who cannot be perceived with our material senses, who cannot be understood by our material mind, he becomes captured in the heart. Sadhyaha, not how, like Markandeya Rishi took 6 Manvantaras to be able to see Lord Narayana before him. Such a long period of time it takes. No, if you serve the Srimad-Bhagavatam, if we hear Srimad-Bhagavatam every day, what happens? Sadhyaha, immediately, within a very short span of time, hridyavarudyate, the Lord is captured within the heart in a very short span of time. Shushrushabi tatshanat. So, Shushrushabihi. The only qualification is we have to hear the Srimad-Bhagavatam with attention and with faith. So, if we hear the Srimad-Bhagavatam with attention and faith from the lips of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, the effect is that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who cannot be captured by our material senses and who is always situated in Vishuddha-sattva guna or Vasudeva or the state of Vasudeva, he becomes captured in our heart. Because hearing of the Srimad-Bhagavatam every day immediately catapults us from the control of the 3 modes of material nature into Vishuddha-sattva guna. So therefore, we have to, that is the importance of hearing the Srimad-Bhagavatam every day. And when we speak of the Bhagavatam, there is the book Bhagavatam and there is the person Bhagavatam. So, as Markandeya Rishi himself stated, that Shuklam Tanum, the form, the body of the Supreme Lord is spotless. It is in Vishuddha-sattva. And Tavakanam, his pure devotees' bodies are also transcendental. They are also spotless. They are also in Vishuddha-sattva guna. Therefore, whenever we address great pure devotees, we use the prefix Ashtottara Shata Sri Srimad. That Ashtottara Shata actually means that that personality whom we are referring to, he is situated in Vishuddha-sattva guna. He is in the state of Vasudeva. And that is why, whether we refer to Srila Prabhupada or to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, any of the personalities in our Parampara, Guru Parampara, we refer to them as Ashtottara Shata Sri Srimad. So, if we come in touch with a pure devotee, if we hear the Srimad-Bhagavatam every day from the lips of a pure devotee, we can be elevated to the status of Vishuddha-sattva guna or Vasudeva, which is the platform of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is why here it is being mentioned that Sattvena amsena param brahma bhagavantam jatam, that Supreme Lord, he, whenever he descends into this material world, either personally or through his amsha, through his expansion, or through his kala, the expansion of his expansion, all of them are situated in Shuddha Sattva Guna. Therefore, they are able to reveal the transcendental knowledge. So, Kapila Muni, because Sattvena Amsena, because he is a Kala, he is an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and Sattvena, he is situated in Shuddha Sattva Guna or the state of Vasudeva. Therefore, Tattva Sankhyana Vijnaptyai, he is able to reveal the transcendental knowledge of Sankhya Yoga, pure Sankhya Yoga, where one understands, one knows about the position of the material world and the spiritual world and the position of pure devotional service. So, to understand that, to be able to reveal that, to be able to teach that knowledge about the personality of Godhead and his abode, which are all situated in Vishuddha-sattva guna, the person who is teaching himself has to be in Vishuddha-sattva guna. Otherwise, it is not possible. Therefore, we have to learn this transcendental science and practice it under a pure devotee who is in Vishuddha-sattva guna, who is on the platform of Ashtottara Shatashri Srimad. So that means only if we take shelter of Srila Prabhupada as our Guru, as our spiritual master, as our Diksha Guru, as our deliverer Guru, then only we can understand the position of Krishna, and in our heart, Sadhyo Hridya Varudyate, in our heart Krishna will be captured. Otherwise it is not possible. Theoretically, if we go and surrender and take shelter, take Diksha from some personality who is not already in Vishuddha-sattva guna, like some people say that for a Diksha, to become a Diksha Guru, one need not be a pure devotee, one need not be an Uttamadhikari. Even a Kanishthadhikari can initiate. You can initiate. You can go and take initiation from such a Kanishthadhikari. But because that Kanishthadhikari is not situated in Vishuddha-sattva guna, Krishna will not be captured in your heart. You will not be able to go to Goloka Vrindavan, because to capture Krishna in the heart, your heart has to be in Vishuddha-sattva guna. To go to Goloka Vrindavan, you have to be in Vishuddha-sattva guna. Otherwise, not possible. So therefore, if our goal is to capture Krishna in the heart and to go to Goloka Vrindavan, if that is our goal, then we have no option other than to accept Srila Prabhupada as our only Guru. Otherwise, not possible. So therefore, we have to understand that Tattva Sankhya Vijnaptyai, if we have to understand transcendental knowledge, we have to receive it and practice it under Sattvena Amsena, under somebody who is in Vishuddha-sattva guna, which is either the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, which for very greatly fortunate souls are able to get, like Devahūti. She was able to understand the spiritual knowledge and to practice it under the guidance of Kapila Deva, who is in Vishuddha-sattva guna. Arjuna, he directly received it from Krishna, because he was a great pure devotee, and therefore he could accept Krishna as his supreme, as his spiritual master. Brahma, he got Krishna as his spiritual master, because there was no other living entity other than Brahma when Brahma was born. So naturally it was only Krishna who had to teach him. So all these great personalities, they could get directly Krishna as the Supreme Personality, as their teachers, as their gurus. So therefore, they directly got the transcendental knowledge from the Supreme Personality, who is already in Vishuddha-sattva guna. For the rest of us, what about us? We also have to receive this transcendental knowledge from somebody who is in Vishuddha-sattva guna. And for that, Krishna has sent Prabhupada to us. And so, therefore, if we take shelter of Prabhupada's lotus feet as our sole Guru, as our Diksha Guru and as our deliverer Guru, then what happens? Because Prabhupada is in Vishuddha-sattva guna, therefore all the transcendental knowledge will be revealed in our heart. Our hearts will be cleansed of the contamination of Sattva guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna, and we will be able to go back to Godhead. So therefore, from this today's verse, what we have to understand is that Tattva Sankhya Vijnaptyai, if we have to understand transcendental knowledge, then we have to take shelter, Sattvena Amsena, we have to take shelter of a personality, a pure devotee, an Uttamadhikari, who is in Vishuddha-sattva guna. So I'll stop here. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
How does one identify, that is, if somebody is looking for a guru, how does he identify whether that guru is in Vishuddha-sattva? Because we ourselves are not in that
True.
state. So how do we identify?
True. I am in the lower mode of material nature. My eyes are covered by ignorance. Ajnana timirandasya. Timira andha. So timira means dense darkness. So it is not just darkness. Sometimes in the night, when the lights go off, after a little while your eyes will get adjusted to the darkness. You'll be able to see some little bit here and there. Some things you can see, right? But sometimes if it is a new moon day and it is dense darkness, practically you cannot see anything. It will be fully only black you will see. So our hearts are like that. Ajnana timirandasya. Our hearts are covered by the dense darkness of ignorance. So where is the question of being able to identify someone whether he is in Visuddha-sattva guna or not? Therefore, Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. We have to approach the proper Guru-Shishya parampara and take shelter of the current link in that parampara. Srila Prabhupada is the current link in our parampara. He is the person in that parampara. It's not that somebody who is not in that Guru-Shishya parampara, somebody who is not in that list stemming from Krishna, we can take shelter of him. You can take initiation from him and you also can go back to Godhead. No. You have to take shelter of somebody who is in that parampara line. And who is in that parampara line? It is Srila Prabhupada. After Prabhupada, who is there? Who is number 33? There is nobody. So you have to take shelter of number 32 only. You cannot take shelter of somebody else and think you are connected to number 32. It doesn't work like that. You have to take shelter of the person who is part of that unbroken chain of disciplic succession. So, therefore, if you simply apply this criterion, evam parampara praptam, you apply this criterion of approaching the person who is in that chain of disciplic succession, and that is Srila Prabhupada, nobody else. It's a simple criterion which Krishna himself has given in the Bhagavad-gita. Is that okay? Anyone else, please? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Today verse that Maitra is addressing Vidura, killer of enemy.
Yeah.
In what sense, Prabhu, this is?
Because he is a Kshatriya. It's natural to call Kshatriyas Shatruhan and Purusha Vyagra and all such terminologies Krishna also uses in the Bhagavad-gita. Parantapa. That means all Kshatriyas are addressed like that. That was the culture at that time. Huh? Sorry?
Like that's all.
Maybe he might have engaged in some battle. We don't know. I don't know. The Mahabharata, so many instances might have been there where in some battles Vidura has taken part.
But
I'm not aware of any specific instance, but there could have been.
Basically,
Because it is said in the Bhagavatam that when there was a tiff between Duryodhana and Vidura, Vidura broke his bow and went out of the house. So that means he was carrying a bow. He was a Kshatriya. As a Kshatriya, even if he doesn't kill anyone, still as a Kshatriya he is known as Shatruhan. Because all Kshatriyas are killers of their enemies in that sense. And you can take it in another sense also. You can take it that the enemy of ignorance is killed by Vidura. You can take it like that also. But that's not the real meaning when he is saying Shatruhan. He is referring to his position as a Kshatriya. That is how we have to understand. Okay? Yes, please.
Markandeya Maharishi was meditating for 6 manvantras, you have said. So earlier he had seen Lord Krishna floating on a banyan leaf.
Yeah.
And then this incident has happened after that incident, or is it before?
The sequence I am not sure, because it is said that during one day of Brahma, Markandeya Rishi saw Krishna floating on that leaf. What leaf? Palm leaf.
Banyan leaf, Vatapatra Sai.
Vatapatra. So on that he was banyan leaf, he was floating. And in another kalpa, this incident happened. That's how we understand.
So the reason for his meditation on Lord Vishnu, what was his
Because
purpose?
he's a devotee. He's a devotee. A devotee always meditates on the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And because he was in that yuga, the Satya Yuga of that time, so naturally he took the process of meditation, because in that process the Yuga Dharma was to engage in meditation. So he undertook meditation. Karadama Muni also undertook meditation. So he also underwent meditation, Ashtanga Yoga, because that was the Yuga Dharma at that time. Anybody else? We'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.